Good morning, fellow Realtors. Welcome to episode number 55 of the 5-Year Real Estate Career Podcast. My name is Patrick Butler. I'm here with my two co-hosts, Skip Wiley and Eric Wilner. We'll come back to them in a moment. Today, we're going to talk about another niche in real estate that we actually fall into the demographic of, and that's how realtors can build a niche in the downsizing community. What the heck do you mean by that? Well, helping retirees unlock equity in their homes and transition with confidence into what we consider downsizing, whether it's lower cost or smaller real estate or both. Imagine, though, before we start this podcast, if you can, taking your real estate career to a level that in 5 short years will enable you to be able to do what it is that you want to do in life, whether it's continue to sell real estate and build your wealth, to retire, maybe a combination of both, and see the world. Well, it may sound a little bit like hype, but the fact of the matter is it's absolutely true if you can do one thing successfully, and that is generate an unlimited supply of leads that you can work yourself, refer out, and monetize on across the board. Today, we're going to cover that and a lot more, because the key to wealth and the key to your future in real estate is leads, and that's what this game is all about. So let's go ahead and get started here. I want you to think about a couple of things, though. Did you know that retirees, people over 65 years of age, are the fastest growing demographic in the United States? So in a real estate market that's conceivably shrinking, that one is actually growing, and their needs are tremendous. Most homeowners, another fun fact, don't realize how much equity they're sitting on. An old real estate practice, hey, would you like to know the value of your home? Even more important today, especially for older folks, because they're not necessarily aware. They may think that their $200,000 house is now worth $225,000 when it's worth $800,000. Did you know that over 60% of seniors are actively considering moving and changing their housing situation? That's a fact, and that is a tremendous market because, folks, they don't have a lot of time to waste. Think about it. And did you also know, I would have expected a laugh from my partners on that one, that over 30% of home buyers in 2025 will be over the age of 59 years. So kids, get with the program, work with your boomer clients, work with your boomer partners. We're going to take advantage of this niche ourselves. All right, so very briefly, want to introduce my guest speakers, Mr. Eric Wilner, the automatic landlord. Say hi, Eric.
Hey there. How are you doing?
Right.
Hey, I resemble some of those comments.
Me too, all of them. And speaking of resembling those comments, Mr. Skip Wiley, the fanatical marketeer. All right, Skip and Eric, welcome. All right, so we're going to start this topic off here. And again, the three of us are intimately in this age group. Well, I shouldn't say intimately, but we're in this age group, and we are very much involved in Skip. Talk to us a bit about downsizing in this market.
Well, let's first, is there a market for it? You mentioned it in your early introduction, but every day, 10,000 people in the US turn 65. And that should tell you, number one, that is going to continue to grow. There's over 3.6 million people a year turn 65, and most are sitting on serious equity. So with that many people, more than 50% of Americans are 55 plus. They live in homes that are too large because their kids have grown up and gone away. Their biggest asset for most people in America is the equity in their home. And the biggest pain point for them is, what do I want to do with all of that equity? The other thing that I think is critically important when we start dealing or talking with people in this marketplace, the number one emotion driving this market isn't greed. It's clarity. What am I going to do for the rest of my life with the money I have? Well, I'm not going to produce a lot more money, but what am I going to do to live a good quality retirement life with the equity that I have? And that's why these clients are looking not to buy bigger, they're looking to downsize. They want peace of mind. They want financial simplicity, and they can't afford, absolutely cannot afford to make the wrong decision with that biggest asset they have. And reality is 90% of the agents that you're going to compete with do not have a quality game plan to go after this growing market. So I'm going to give you a case study. One of my clients had no idea their home was worth $750,000. They were living off of Social Security. They were struggling to live off of Social Security, and they had some bills. So with one downsizing decision, they wiped out all of their debt. They bought a smaller home and they cleaned up their life. Best way to describe it. Now they have no stress. They have a game plan for living out the balance of their life. And I'm going to say this, it's a huge market advantage that many real estate agents just don't get. They don't get it because there's usually 2 transactions in every single downsizing event. And if you become the trusted advisor for that group of people, and all of us on this page, by the way, all of us on this podcast, we have a distinct advantage over a 20-year-old. They will trust us more readily than they will someone who is in their 20s and 30s who are driven by different issues. So it's a huge advantage. And I'm going to close it with a statement. This isn't a real estate transaction. This is a lifestyle transformation. And it's a huge segment of the marketplace that if you go after it with a good quality game plan, you can really dramatically increase your business and help a lot of people. Back to you.
Amen to that. And Skip, you said something in that piece, and that was that most realtors don't have a game plan for this. And I believe wholeheartedly the reason why 85% of realtors get out of the business is because they don't have a game plan, period.
For anything.
And finding the niche that works for you. And you said something important too, Skip, that it doesn't matter how old or young you are, you can tackle this niche. But yeah, maybe for the 22-year-old realtor working the senior market may or may not be your best choice, but pick the one that makes the most sense for you and go at it all the way. Do not let up on the gas pedal and you will succeed. And that's part of what this 5-year career brings to the table. So Eric, Skip talked a little bit about lifestyle change. Can you talk to us a little bit about the retiree's mindset and what difference that makes in today's world?
Yeah, he actually, it was a great segue into, the first thing that you have to understand and the first thing that you want to master, like you said, regardless of age, much more important is, can you relate to the retiree mindset? As Skip said, they're not just buying a home. In fact, nobody in any age category is just buying a roof over their head. They're looking at making a life transition, whether it's, newly married, recent baby, or now retiring and looking at the downsizing equation. They're making a life transition. So understand and give it that importance, because if they feel that you understand it and they feel that you're giving it the weight, the rapport comes much easier. Common fears, and I'm dealing actually relocating my parents, right? and going from a 4-bedroom, oversized split level house into a 1-floor, maybe 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, condominium, but on 1 floor, and obviously has to be easy access because they're in their 80s. So there's the space part. Why do I have to give up that much space that I've been so accustomed to for so long? Then there's, the intangible memories that have been there for so long, the birthday parties that were there, the celebrations, not to mention, the fear, because as a downsizer in their later years, I think it was Skip that said they can't afford to make the mistake. They may have money, but they can't afford, because they're no longer in their income earning years. So the wrong mistake could be devastating. And that's why, again, you got to understand the mindset. You got to give the comfort and assure them that not only are you not a scam, but that you will help them to avoid any potential scams out there. You see, what they value the most, okay, and in this transaction right here, is trust. Okay, even above the money, trust your personal guidance your step-by-step support and communication. In reality, you're much more than a realtor here. You're kind of a transition coach, not a transaction closer. And so if you embrace that mindset, both their position and your role, I think you're halfway there.
Amazing. Amazing. So it's funny because I know, Skip, you just moved from South Florida, expensive market, to Pensacola, Florida, moderate market. So downsizing financially into your home. You got a much nicer home than you would have gotten for the price you sold yours for. And that was what, 2 years ago you did that?
2 years ago, yeah.
3. So I'm in the middle of doing it right now. In fact, 15 minutes ago, Mika from the moving company just left my house to give me an estimate for shipping and possibly storing my household goods. And because I have to sell the house that I'm living in now, and then I'm building another house not far from Skip. However, as a 63-year-old guy and being in the business, I'm still having to go through the whole mental gymnastics of this thing. So,
Absolutely.
having the value proposition to share with our clients, I'm living it right now. So I feel very grateful that it's fresh, it's new. I'm feeling every emotion that includes the angst, the potential fear, the anxiety, all those things, and timing the sale of the current home, being prepared if it sells too quickly to stay in temporary housing and finding that now while I am not freaking out over it, and storing my household goods, but also understanding it may take longer to sell my house than I expect. And that could be a benefit if it shortens my temporary needs. It could be a catastrophe. It goes past when I need the money to buy my next house. So I am utilizing all of my skill sets in this business and hedging my bets and doing all the right things. And that is something that somebody that is my position, moving as an older person that we're talking about, is critical. So Eric, 100% correct. It's all about please bring my anxiety level as an older person down and help me get a plan. So your value proposition shouldn't just be, oh yeah, sell your house, yeah, whatever. But what does the whole thing look like? And Eric, I think you said it great too. This is true for anybody. I remember when I used to go on for sale by owner appointments, I wouldn't just talk about the house that they're in. Oftentimes it was an overpriced turkey, but hey, let's assume that this house does sell. Where are you guys going? I don't know. We figure if we get our price, we'll know. I knew then they weren't serious sellers, or they really needed more help than just this house, folks. Let's zoom out a little bit and figure out the whole move from your destination back to this listing again. And that served me so well. So what are some things that we can provide our senior clients to help them? And by the way, this is just a great exercise for anybody that that is sitting on home equity. A home equity review. Market analysis is great, but what does that mean to them money in their pocket? Right? I was shocked that the last house I sold, a buddy of mine, because it was vacant, I actually had it rented, but I needed to sell it. And I was shocked being in the business at what the value was. I said, you got to be kidding me. And that was 2007, I think it was, or just no, 2004, when the market had peaked out. How about a custom transition roadmap? If you would like to have one of those, we're going to talk about that at the end. We've got one for you. As our audience members, we'll give that to you as a gift, but that roadmap is super powerful. I, Skip, created one myself before you sent me yours yesterday for my own personal move. So I'm going to incorporate that as well. But I've literally got everything in there as a checklist, from decide to sell house at the very top of it, which we've already done, with responsible party, dates, and what the outcome is in the notes. A roadmap is vital. How about a market snapshot and a look at local and relocation options? Again, these folks may need some temporary housing, and if it's in the destination that you don't work in, time to get your referral partners engaged. By the way, before I forget, one other thing, you just gave me a great idea. Seniors over 65ers are always looking for some kind of a gig side hustle to do to make more money. What a great opportunity to have them get their real estate license and become bird dogs for you if they circulate in other senior communities, whether it's their HOA, if they have friends, relatives, whatever. What a great way to market your services, especially if you show them the skills that you possess. And then your free 15-minute downsizing strategy call, also very important, just to kind of get them under your auspices and your trust to go through all these other things. So that's super important. Then lastly, empathy, but education. everything that we talk about in the 5-year career has to do with educating consumers. First-time home buyers, we've proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that program works. We're going to talk about that at the very end as well, so that you can become part of that. But doing webinars for seniors or live events at local community centers, all great things. So that brings us to our next step and piece of the puzzle, marketing to these folks. Skip, take it away.
Well, that's why they call me the fanatical marketer. So let me give you some good ideas. First and foremost, you don't need 100 leads. You need 10 of the right leads, because what we're talking about now is we're talking about people that already have a defined purpose. Downsizers aren't kicking the tires. If you build a credible brand, a brand that identifies you, that matches up with their need, fewer leads will develop a lot more quality business. But here's 3 low-cost, high-trust lead sources. Number 1, host a workshop. Where do you host workshops? You host them at local libraries. You'd be shocked how many people will come to an event like that, promoted by the library. Senior centers, churches, any place where there are mature adult people who want or maybe considering downsizing. The title for something like that might be How to Downsize and Keep More of Your Equity. And that's a significant, good topic for those kind of meetings that we're talking about. You can run Facebook ads, offering a free downsizing guide or an equity review call. Probably won't get as much out of that as the first. The first is very personal. It allows you to build comfort and confidence from the people that are in the room. I strongly recommend. The next thing is you really need to use social media, but weekly email tip series. You can every single week you can do a short 2-minute video that you post on your website. You can post it on your Facebook page. It'll let people know what you focus on. Video stories, short clips of real downsizing success stories. I want to get your success story, Patrick, when you finally move to your new destination on a video. Mine is really simple. You know, mine is a great story. I sold a house in Boca, bought a bigger house up here, but I paid a third of the, well, let's say 50% of the price for the same home. So I was able to maintain my lifestyle, but I moved to a different location, which allowed me to accomplish that good strategy for retirement. Next item that I think is really important, a downsizing checklist. We have it for anybody who wants it. Just contact us and we'll provide that for you. But here's another thing. You got to start branding yourself if you want to make this work for you. So I'll give you a couple of great ideas. Brand yourself as a retirement move coach, or a senior transition partner. This creates trust, because as we've been talking about this whole through this whole meeting, we're not talking about greedy people. We're talking about people that have worked hard their entire life, who build equity in their property. It's their primary asset, and they want to make the right decisions. And they want somebody who is knowledgeable and trustworthy to assist them to make that final decision that they're going to make in downsizing. Also, just one other quick point, credibility matters to these people. Co-brand all of your materials with quality statements that surround your expertise. And finally, a phrase, it's not about pushing people to sell, it's about helping them understand their options and take action with clarity. And more importantly, the most important thing, with confidence.
Awesome. So we've got the mindset, we've got phenomenal, Skip. I think that's spot on. So it's part of business, though. So like any piece of our business, we've got to have some systems and tools. And Eric, are these any different than we would use for other niches in the market?
Well, only to the extent of who your target audience is, but the process, believe it or not, is very, very similar, you know? And so we often talk about, you know, number one, we want to have the mindset. Everything begins with the mindset. the next thing we can start looking at is the tool set. And Skip started going kind of into that with the branding and the awareness and the positioning. Very good. But let's also talk about the, the sort of the mechanical systems and the tool set there. And one of the things that we have used is CRMs, customer relationship management. Because remember, as we said, this is not a transaction. This is a relational, transformational service that we're providing. So we use certain tools that make sure that we're doing the follow-up, that nothing falls through the cracks. We have automation, we have funnels and processes, step-by-step guidelines. And again, most importantly, they say the fortune is in the follow-ups. It's so true.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest complaints people have in every age category is the lack of follow-up and the lack of communication. And so, today's technology allows us to, we really don't have an excuse for no follow-up. We don't have an excuse for not providing good equity reports and things like that on, the status of the market, the trends of the market. And nowadays, Canva, for example, is a really popular, social influencers are using it, kids are using it, and we should be using it also for our branded marketing material. And so, as we talked about, start with a simple roadmap, like a downsizing checklist. Patrick had to create one for himself. Why? Because where else was he going to get it? It's quite frankly not out there, even though it's happening by the hundreds of thousands, probably the tens of thousands per day. Packing guides, right? Movers are doing it, but people don't get to that point until much later on in the process. Imagine, and it was said today, imagine if you could be viewed as the coach. Ultimately, you want to be the go-to person. Hey, Patrick, I'm getting ready to leave, but I've got this light fixture that's not working. Do you know an electrician? Hey, Skip, I need to do some touch-up paint. Do you know who's a good painter? Who's a good mover? And all of that stuff. And I'll give you one more interesting tip. If these folks are downsizing, maybe they're downsizing to your area, or maybe they're downsizing from your area. Either way, would it not make sense to make some contacts? Maybe your company already has, and your ability to make an agreement. Imagine having a realtor in, let's say, New York, and where New Yorkers all go, Florida. And imagine if you had a great agent in New York who's watching his population age out and say, listen, let's work out an arrangement where you send me, you're going to continue to be their trusted advisor, but now they've got a team of trusted advisors, and they're going to be taken care of and confident even through that handoffs. So those are the systems that I would recommend. And I think that it makes a lot of sense because it doesn't exist, and you will be in a category of one.
Yeah. I'd like to add one thing, because that was a great overview of exactly what to do. But I failed to mention one thing during the marketing phase that is probably the most important thing that I should have mentioned. You need to partner with people, financial advisors, estate planners, CPAs, anybody who does taxes. And here's the reason why. They know what these people are going to do in advance of when they do it. And this is the key reason to partner with them. They already trust them. And if you can develop a relationship and be referred by those people, the process of trust is immediate, because these people would not have referred you had they not really respected what you're doing for their clients.
Amen to that. So, I mean, what I've been hearing, and it's funny, I as always on these podcasts, I've written down about 11 to-dos for myself. But so, Skip, I think what I heard you talk about was affinity marketing, right? The entire
Absolutely.
concept of having your team and leveraging each other's contacts, because within their little universe are consistent sources of clients. And yeah, you're right on with that. And then we talk about our Done For You program, which we'll wrap the segment up with. But Hell, why not, Eric, do webinars in the source location? So have your New York agents do webinars on retirement to sunny South Florida, have sunny South Florida people on the webinar talking about that. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, we've got a pipeline of opportunity there because we know the webinars produce 30, 40, 50, 60 home buyer candidates. But what a great niche to do these in. I definitely want to write a webinar over the weekend about being a 65-year-old home transitioner. I think it's a great idea. And Skip, your videos that we've talked about since day one, snippets. I should be videoing my current move as we speak. I'm already behind the eight ball. I should have had the moving lady on the damn thing, but anyway, I'll do all of those things. So what is the call to action now? Well, I'm super pumped up about this. It's another thing, and I will be smack in the middle of it when I do make my move. It's a new 55 and older, hate to say it, community called Margaritaville in Panama City Beach, Florida. It's the first 3,000 of what will be 100,000 home community called Watersound. What an incredible market to go off into the sunset on and build my referral team of people and talk to those builders about where the sources of the people are coming to from their database. And I'll market to those sources as well. So things we can do, folks. Get a team. As always, your service providers, fellow realtors, build your network of real estate agents for your passive and indirect income opportunities. Feed them the business, help them with your systems, your checklists, and all of the transition strategies that you have. Help them build out their first webinar. Folks, we have a done for you program. We're going to share a QR code. Take a picture of that puppy and register for one of our webinars, and we'll get you into our team. It doesn't cost you a darn cent. We as leaders in this and thought leaders should provide all of that content, the scripts, and we'll do that. We'll do that for you. The checklist. By the way, Eric, I'm going to steal your thunder on the checklist right now because it's at top of mind. If you guys want this moving checklist, this transition checklist for seniors, just text the word seniors to 561-861-2366. I'll repeat that. Text the word seniors to 561-861-2366. This is such a great niche in the marketplace, growing every single day. Encourage your team, whether it's this niche or any niche, to capitalize. Eric, you want to close this out for us? I thought we'll do something a little different today since you are the man with the plan.
Yeah, and just like you, I've been taking notes, and it's funny, the learning process. But absolutely, Patrick, wouldn't it be cool to have like either a daily or weekly? This is where I'm at. Oh, this was the problem I had. Oh, this was the aha I had, and this is what I'm doing. Super great idea. It's fun. It's real. And I guarantee you, if there's 10,000 people turning 65 a day, there's a lot of people that would be watching that video. Number one. Number two, another takeaway I just got there is you were saying about affinity marketing. Here's another cool value add that you can bring to the employer who's going to expose you. See, I'm all about one-to-many, right? Gone are the days where you have to go one by one, door knocking or cold calling one by one. That's a dead end, and it's hard. And today, with the do not call lists and the, and safety issues and distancing issues, there's every single reason why one-on-one is dead. But the concept of one-to-many, that's why I've been doing my radio show for 26 years, because it works. We have developed a process, a webinar done for you webinar system. See, the number one objection most people have is, well, I don't, why didn't you do the videos yet? Well, A, I didn't think about it, but B, I may be shy. I may be camera shy. I may not know what to say, but listen, just be authentic and say the right thing. But we have a done for you system, right? So the scripts are done, the process is done, the follow-up, the automation. Imagine having everything done for you. All you have to do is show up. And now you're going to show up, one, or part of a team, a credible, already proven system and a proven team. And you're going to be talking to people who raised their hands saying, I want to know more about what you're talking about, whether it be new construction, downsizing for seniors, the investment market, the affinity marketing, we have a turnkey system, and that's what I wanted to share, because this is your opportunity to be a value added, above average individual that can approach any agent in any market, and to be able to approach any client in any market to build your reputation and now provide the service, which at the end of the day, that's what we're all about.
There you go. And we've got on the screen here the home buyer flyer with the handsome Skip Wiley in the bottom left corner, but take a picture of the QR code. It'll take you to the registration webinar. We encourage you to register for one of our home buyer webinars to kick the tires and get a sense for how this all works. And we are extremely excited about the evolution of our webinar series. Eric is a master investor specialist, and we have investor webinars, and I absolutely am excited about this niche and building out this piece. So if you haven't already taken that photo, do it quick, because I'm going to pull that back down and we're going to wrap up our podcast for today. So sorry, folks. So there it is. The 5-year career, once again, comes up with another opportunity for you to generate massive leads. They are growing in leaps and bounds by 10,000 a day, the senior marketplace. It all starts with leads, folks. And we encourage you to visit us either at the 5-year career. Where is it? 5-year career YouTube channel at 5-year career, or at our website, 5yearcareer.com, and get a hold of us. Take a look at some of the materials, watch some of our podcasts. Now, I'm even thinking we should put together an entire sales training manual for each of the niches that we talk about over the course of time, because we really do know what the hell we're talking about, and we live it and we do it every single day. So don't just watch us for the sheer enjoyment in our handsome faces. Put the information to good use. Follow us, like us on our website and our YouTube channel, and become part of our wonderful network and our team. Together, we can all make it happen. Together, everyone achieves more, which is the acronym for team. So without any further ado, I would like to thank my colleagues for their time. It was a great session today. I personally got a lot out of it. And we thank you all for your time in joining us. Any final parting words before we say goodbye to the students?
I have one comment. Consistency is an unappreciated form of intentional magic. If you do something, do it consistent, or don't do it at all. Webinars are the fastest, quickest way to develop a successful business. We hope you reach out to us. We'll share our ideas and you will make more money. So thanks for being with us, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, and the best thing to do is take advantage of, come be a fly on the wall. These are not concepts, my friends. These are what we're doing, and they're happening on a regular basis. So when you text the word seniors to 561-861-2366, not only will we send you the pre-listing checklist for seniors and downsizing, but we'll also send you the link for our YouTube channel, and and a whole bunch more information there. So with that note, I'll pass it back to you, Patrick. Thank you.
All right. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.